You know, you've probably heard it literally a million times. Just look on the bright side, right? But let's be entirely honest with ourselves for a second. When you're having an absolutely terrible day and someone tells you to just think positive, well, it's usually enough to make you want to roll your eyes right out of your head. So today we're jumping straight into the deep end to figure out if positive thinking is just some hollow, cheesy platitude or if there's actually concrete, hard science backing it up. We're skipping all the typical self-help fluff and getting right to the core friction between those overly optimistic, kind of annoying motivational posters and actual cognitive science. Let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into this. It's completely natural to hear the phrase positive thinking and instantly feel this massive wave of skepticism. Honestly, it gets a bad rap. And let's openly validate that right now, because for a lot of us, the whole concept just feels, well, incredibly forced. It feels like fake enthusiasm. We are steel manning that skeptic's view right out of the gate here, because ignoring that friction, ignoring the absolute absurdity of how this is usually presented, is exactly why so many highly logical people dismiss the entire concept right off the bat. Section 1, the positive thinking stigma. And this brilliantly illustrates the exact problem. Before we can even begin to understand the reality of the science, we have to really dig into why these ideas are so universally stigmatized in the first place. You see, the mainstream version of positive thinking often demands that we just ignore totally valid problems. It's like slapping a tiny, weak Band-Aid over a gaping wound. That is the toxic positivity we are actively trying to avoid here. But if we can manage to strip away all those tired cliches, the research reveals an entirely different world. A world that is supported by some genuinely fascinating science just waiting to be unpacked. Section 2, enter Kin's approach. So instead of endlessly fighting against the skeptics, researcher Kin tackles this hesitation totally head-on. Now, what's really interesting here is her specific terminology. She focuses purely on simple shifts in perspective. And that is a massive, game-changing distinction. It's not about forcing fake smiles or pretending a miserable day is flawless. No way. It's about slightly altering the lens through which you view a stressor. So, for example, instead of looking at a massive, overwhelming project at work as this terrifying threat to your survival, a simple shift frames it as just a complex puzzle to solve. Same project, totally different mental framing. Section 3, the science of perspective. So what is mechanically happening inside your brain when you do this? Look, Kin's methodology isn't just some abstract woo-woo mental trick. It is grounded in hard neurological reality. When you deliberately shift your perspective like we just talked about, you are actively engaging neuroplasticity. By reframing a situation, you start to literally rewire your neural pathways. You can actually calm your amygdala down, lower those intense cortisol-driven stress responses, and fundamentally alter your cognitive state. You know, it's not just a temporary mood boost. It's literally about making structural, lasting brain changes over time. How cool is that? Section 4, real change or exaggeration. Do Kin's mental shifts actually lead to tangible transformations? Let's look at how this all logically builds together. You actually start with that healthy dose of skepticism we talked about earlier. Acknowledging the whole corny stigma totally disarms your intellectual resistance. From there, you just apply those simple, manageable perspective shifts to everyday, run-of-the-mill challenges. This logical progression brilliantly shows how simply accepting that initial awkwardness actually clears the runway for genuine mental change. It moves you from a super rigid defensive mindset to a highly adaptable one. So the absolutely crucial point here is that real change means tangible, observable neurological results. Results derived from deliberate, scientific shifts in perspective, not just empty self-help promises. Kin's method completely separates fact from myth. It proves decisively that when we drop the toxic positivity, when we actually lean into the hard science of reframing our mindset, the transformation is absolutely real. It's a total game changer. So I'll leave you with this. How will you shift your perspective today? Now that you know the profound, literal difference between a forced, cheesy cliché and a scientifically backed mental shift, the ball is entirely in your court. You don't have to change everything all at once. Actually, scratch that. You definitely shouldn't try to change everything at once. But based on Kin's research, what is just one tiny, simple adjustment you can make right now? Really think about it. Because as the science shows us, that one small shift might just be the exact spark you need for real, lasting change.